Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your TV program, Tell Me About It. Today, we'll talk about wizards, those who use words to create words. Their writings make our mind and soul travel without moving our feet. Dear viewers, today we're having with us two beautiful minds, two special guests, two young writers. Welcome, Mr. Reda Zdrati to Channel 7.
Hello, thank you so much for the inviting today. It's a good opportunity.
With pleasure.
Thank you.
And welcome, Mr. Mukhtar Hakmi.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Channel 7, the knowledge channel.
Thank you.
Writers are welcome.
Yeah, well, welcome today.
So, guys, how are you?
Very good. What about you?
Fine, thank
How's
you.
Ramadan?
Fine. Yeah, fine. So, guys, tell us more about you. The viewers want to discover who are those beautiful minds. So, Reda, tell us more about you. How was your school career?
Alright, well, I'm Reda Samrati, 20 years old. I'm a student of history at the University of Algiers, to Al-Buzaria. Well, I've been studying languages in high school, German. Well,
Oh, ja, Sprachen sind Deutsch.
yeah. And then when I graduated from high school, I've chosen the human sciences, and then now it's my third year studying history.
I wish you all success.
Thank you.
Great. And you, Mukhtar?
So, like Michel Foucault, the great French intellectual, says there is nothing interesting about personal life.
Yeah.
It's not personal life, it's choosing career.
History.
I say I finished studies, history, like my friend, and then in a very young age,
You both studied history.
yes, we
That's
both
common.
studied history.
What a coincidence.
Exactly. That's what I said before in the meeting.
So in my life, in my childhood, maybe I was in third grade, I wrote my first poems, and they were a kind of an event in my school. Since then, I decided to become a writer. So I am published twice, and my third book is maybe due to be out after a few weeks. The title is Sugar and Sand.
Sugar and sand.
We shall discuss.
Wait for it. So, Mukhtar, you just said that you already wrote 2 books before.
Yes,
Yes. Tell us more about it. We're having them here with us.
yes.
So, tell us more about your books without spoiling the story to the viewers.
So, let's say an Algerian romance. It is unusual to write about love specifically in
Love is beautiful.
So here is love in unusual circumstances.
Yes.
We have a woman whose father was a musician, and then his life took a switch, and then she was in a kind of usual love story with a man older than her. This is the main plot in the second novel.
You didn't spoil it.
I leave it to the readers to discover the rest of it. Like I said, in short term of Aristotle, we have fear, pity, and catharsis. That does exist in this book.
Excellent. And the second book?
The second book, actually, Anasla is the first book, is about a young man who lost his father in an accident, and then he was do something to commemorate his father. This is what it is about. In that process, he met a woman and fell in love, and again, it is an Algerian romance.
He found out that his father wrote a memoir.
Yes, he tried to publish that memoir. In the process, the story took place, the novel took place in that process. So we don't want to spoil
That's where the trouble began.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, to viewers, you should read those 2 books.
Thank you.
No, it's the truth. The story is very interesting. We need this kind of stories.
Yes, Algerian literature and African literature, I said we have to write more about our society with a new perspective.
Yes.
and this is, I think, is the mission of writers, young writers especially, because literature changes from generation to generation.
Exactly.
Our generation, I said, it is a generation of technology. So the world changed. So we want to be writing in the same way the writers that were before us write. We have great Algerian writers.
Yes.
Yes, but I say,
Famous all around the world.
yes, of course, they made their glories, and
Which one is your favorite?
my favorite.
Who's your favorite Algerian writer?
I have top five. Top five. I
Let's
said
discover Mukhtar's top 5 Algerian writers.
Boualem Sansal,
Great.
Amin Zawi,
Right.
Rashid Boujda,
Yes.
Kemal Daoud.
All right.
These are my favorite Algerian writers. Yes.
Excellent. So, Reda,
Yeah.
back to you.
Back.
You write poetry.
Exactly.
So, tell us more. When did you discover that you were, let's say, made to write poetry? You were born to write poetry.
Alright, so if you go back time to my childhood, I've been reading and writing, but only in Arabic, right? And you know, if a child is surrounded by, let's say, games and videos and cartoons, so I wasn't feeling that torch of writing or anything. I've been just, as I say, going to school and following that path, right? But 3 years later, in middle school, I started learning English, and I had a good teachers that helped me. And then I started learning English very well about gaming or movies or in school. But when I went to the high school, then I started using a pen. As I say, it's a glory. It's the only weapon left between our hands.
You started feeling the calling of the words.
Exactly. I started writing, but I didn't write in poetry. And then I started.
Do you remember your first writing?
Of course I do, and it's here. Actually, it's a masterpiece, by the way. It's the first film in
How
2016.
lucky we are.
Yeah, in 2016.
Excellent.
Exactly. And then it's been like 3 years in high school only writing poetry that I felt like I found myself describing what I want in poetry. And if we express poetry, it's the aesthetic of any language. You are using words to describe your feelings in a rhyme way or rhymes way. You're using metaphors. And
You know what they say?
Yeah.
The world is never the same. Once there is a poem, a new poem in it.
Exactly.
It gets
That's-
more beautiful.
Exactly, that's what I say. And if you go back time, poetry was in Babylonian ages.
Yes.
Yeah, like Epic of Gilgamesh. It was like 3,000 years before Jesus
Before
Christ.
Christ,
So poetry is not something new, and it describes the aesthetic part of any language. So in 2019, when I had my baccalaureate, I was like looking at my little notebook. I found that I have around like 70 poems.
Wow.
Yeah, 17 in just 3 years. Then I said, why do I not publish a book? And then this is my first one, prose letters I called it. I made it like a trip.
Those letters.
Yeah, I made it like a sailing trip in the ocean. And each poem is like an island.
And we have to discover, the
Exactly.
reader has to discover the treasure.
Exactly.
Treasure,
treasure. So in an island, if you go to an island, you're going to see the beauty from the island. But if you dig, you're going
Dig
to find
deeper,
it.
you have
Exactly.
to dig deeper to discover the
In the lines, exactly.
Yes, read between the lines.
Exactly. So you're going to find a moral or an idea or a thought that you just discovered it between the lines.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I made it like a 2-month trip, like a month of rage and a month of love. So in the first scene, it's gonna like be in winter, rage, thoughts, anger. It's gonna be divided into trips, and then as I said, each day you're gonna visit a poem. I mean an island.
And love cannot exist without rage.
Exactly, and we always start from rage, and then we find peace in this. We know that life deserves peace and deserves love, and we need to take rage away. We need to take the clouds, as we say, and let the summer and where spring comes. Anyway, this is my first book. Then in back 2020, I had another poems that I wrote in a short term. I said, why not I do publish another book, but not in Algeria. I found a published house in England, Euro Books.
Excellent.
Yeah, I sent them the file, the PDF file. They
loved it.
They loved it. They called me like a month later. I thought he didn't. I thought now my collection of poetry is in the trash. They loved it. He called me. He said, "Well, your poetry collection is amazing. I really loved it. We can publish it." And now they published it and distributed it all around the world, like America, all Europe, Russia, Japan, Australia. So all around.
If maybe tomorrow I'm in New York and I want to read your
You
book,
go to any library.
I will find it. Excellent. Dear viewers, never give up.
Yeah.
We're having with us here an example of success.
Thank you.
He started writing at high school, and today his book has been published all over the world. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Reda, could you please read us some of your poems?
Of course, it's going to be a pleasure and honor.
All right.
All right, let's pick one.
Can I pick up the poems you will read? That one of Light and Dark, I like it very much.
It sounds like you already became friends.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
great.
Do you mean a cold hug? Do you like that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some minutes. It was. I read it. I love it.
All right, I'm going to start reading this and find out if it's it. All right.
All right.
Okay. A cold hug. The leaves are falling. The clouds are crowning. The blinded eyes bleeding and the wind slowly leading through the dimness, in the mid of the forest silence, under the raindrops running away from the teardrops. Steps join the clay, making my way, which is the bliss of solitude, alone between the trees rather than blood-feud, just like the moon between the stars, above shining bright, starring at the wars. As I watch the bright stars shining, my heart starts whining, darkness hugging me by impatience with its silence. The thoughts invading my mind still, let all the plays and horrid pains of hell. And enter the limbo gate, never mind I will wait. Between hell and paradise, the Lord will never despise. Well, we may pay the price, maybe once, maybe twice. Ah, those waves soared to the sands, became a desert land. In the age of gold, life feels cold. I will stay in the woods, I don't need any cures. Leave my roots, don't pull. We get no fruits. And I don't really want to be a spoiler, and here I am.
Oh my God. Well,
Yeah.
that's... I don't have strong enough words to describe it, but I loved what you said, the bliss of solitude.
Exactly the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, something that solitude is a curse, but in fact it's not.
It reminds me of Rumi.
Jalaluddin Rumi.
Yeah.
Yes, he says, you have all what you need within yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You are the universe.
Exactly. You are a kingdom.
He writes a lot about solitude, and he said, you are not a drop in the sea, you are a sea in one drop.
Exactly.
This is Abu Jalal Rumi. I find his writing a bit similar.
Of reading between the lines of your poems, we can feel that you're writing for humanity, for mankind.
Like I always say that we humans, we spend trillions of dollars per year to develop weapons.
Yeah.
Right? But not cent, not dollar to develop the relation and make us
Exactly.
all together.
Yes.
We get among all those deterministics, we just need to stick that humanity is the only imperative.
You remind me of an Algerian writer who was known for writing for humanity.
Yes.
Muhammad Ibn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
And he was famous all over the world, and no other country could use him. He was writing for humanity. He was faithful to his country, to his, let's say, traditions,
Sure.
and he used all his vision of the world to write for humanity.
Exactly. That's all we need to write for humanity.
What I like about him, he writes about humanity without getting out of realms or borders of the Algerian culture.
Exactly.
He wrote something very Algerian but universal at the same time. This is the genius in his work.
He also wrote fiction, science fiction. He wrote
Yes,
about clones. He wrote about pollution.
To write for humanity, we need to create something that we all accept. Any culture will accept it. Any religious part will accept it. So we need to make one thing and one thought that we all agree in it.
Yes,
Actually, it's hard, you know, but we need it.
it's not hard. You know, if before having a religious vision, or let's say, I don't know, wherever you come from,
Yeah.
the most important thing is to always remember that we are all humans.
This is remind me of beauty dogmatism of Socrates. He said, "When there is truth, it's meaningful. It should be true and meaningful for everybody." But I find this dogmatic. I disagree with it. My personal view.
Yeah.
Each person has his perspective, but there is great philosopher is against this term, humanism. I'm not against it, but I said there is no one type of civilization or culture that it has the opposite effect of making us centric, and I hate this about culture.
What I'm talking about is like we need to accept each other as we are.
Exactly.
The beauty of life.
Use our differences as a strength.
I cannot tell you, like
I agree with this.
yes,
As a
I
strength.
cannot like kick you or treat you bad if you are different in ideas. That's the beauty of life. We need to accept that there's changes.
Our differences we have.
There is a cold, there is a heat.
Yes,
that's it. But we need to accept them, that they are real, not just go and just rubbish from the world.
Exactly. Mukhtar, back to you.
Yes.
Yes, your comic book is called Sugar and Sand.
Yes.
All right.
By the way, I
Well,
love the title. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I really love the title. It's, well, I don't know, I'm losing my words. So, without first part, without spoiling it, and then we'll say spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
All right, it's the story of two people lost in the Libyan desert.
Yes.
All right, please tell us more about them.
So
Without spoiling.
without spoiling the plot or the book for readers, I say what I was inspired by, Sugar and Sand. It is a book about the actuality of Africa and its past too, because we have two trips that mark our culture and our history in Africa. First one is the trip towards slavery. Slavery started in Africa with the farms of sugar of the Portuguese Empire.
Yes.
So those abducted and took to sugar, they have a trip. So that trip in my book is sugar. And the second one, the sand is about our
Symbolism of sand.
the symbolism of sand is about today's reality for most African countries where people are flooding their countries for poverty, struggles, wars, and climate change. So they have to take a trip
They have to cross the desert.
They have to cross the Libyan desert in attempt to reach the Mediterranean Sea, and then
Okay, right here we started spoiling.
Yes,
Yes. It's the part with spoilers.
yes.
Go on.
So, as I say, this trip is people very success crossing this desert and are dying in the desert, submerged in that sea of sand, without any media attention.
And the sea of sand.
Yes, without putting any burden on a human consciousness. So I write this book. I am not a militant writer. I don't report reality. I try to make art out of it. I try to be creative. But once you made of these circumstances a book, somehow you are giving a voice to these people who died without
Let's say a proper farewell, a proper funeral.
a eulogy
Eulogy,
to
yeah.
these people, unfortunate people who lost their life.
To tell them
Trying to
die properly.
Yes, and to point out this what is happening in this desert. We have to raise consciousness about it.
Yes.
Yes.
People need to be more aware.
aware of it. Actually, people who are dying, the number of illegal immigrants dying in the sea is more or less than the number of people dying in the desert.
Yeah.
This is fact.
Yeah.
People don't even reach the sea, they die in the desert.
They really reach the sea.
Alright.
Most of them die in the desert, simply.
Oh my god.
And it is an ugly death.
It's terrible, you know.
Terrible
Used
death.
to die in the ocean, now dying in sand.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, two people are lost in the Libyan desert. Who are these two persons?
Well, now let's spoil the story.
Let's spoil the story.
Go
Alright.
by the book.
Oh, why it?
Let's spoil the book. So, at first there were six. These six people, we have two brothers. So they took a decision each to go in a different way to raise their chances of surviving. We have here, a night before they became just two, they were sitting around the campfire, and an intellectual among them fish out a magazine and start reading. The symbolism of this scene is the power of literature, the power of storytelling. So storytelling has always been with our race since the beginning of
Humanity,
history.
yeah.
It is not a luxury. It is survival sometimes. So storytelling is very powerful. And here we see in facing hardship, and here we see people who are facing a very gloomy fate. But at that moment when they sit and somebody brings out a book and starts reading, things change. They have hope. They have in them some kind of, we will make it, we will not die. And here I point out the power of storytelling in our lives.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in this book it's like you're making an analysis of Africa.
Yes.
So, how do you see the future of Africa?
The future of Africa, we have to make, we change the type of economy we have in Africa. All the African countries bonds make $1 trillion per year. And it is an economy relying on resources.
Resources, yes.
Not an economy of knowledge or
Innovation.
or
Innovation, yes.
So our societies has to be very individual. We have to encourage individuality and creativity in citizens to change the type of economy we are doing. That starts happening in.
It's called the economy of knowledge.
Economy of knowledge, because in economy of knowledge, the individual, the citizen has a value to add to the country,
Yes.
to the economy of his country,
To his society.
to his society.
Yeah, exactly.
We find one American entrepreneur can add to the economy of his country $100 billion per year.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
That's 10 countries of Africa.
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in an African country, we have resources. These resources are divided on the masses, on the population, and there is no value added to the economy.
Yes.
So we have to change our
Situation.
I'm
Our
moving to
mindset,
it.
Yes.
our mindset completely.
Yes.
Yes.
From changing from eaters to creators and planters.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's
we
what-
always just eat and eat and do
That's what brings me to your second book,
Yeah,
A Candle for Snow.
that's my favorite.
Interesting
part.
title.
It's like the stars are witnessing what they have seen,
Exactly.
what they have been through,
Yeah,
and let's say what's coming.
yeah, they reveal the.
You know, some scientists say that stars are living here and in the future at the same time.
Exactly, so they reflect what's happened in the past.
So tell us more about
Alright.
this book and this, especially this title.
Yeah, A Candle for Snow. It was the last thing I chosen to write, was the title. Not like this one, I had the title since the beginning, Post Lotus.
Yeah.
But-
Sometimes the title is the hardest thing to find.
Yeah, exactly. So the second book, it was hard to find a title. but I came up with a candle for snow. So what is a candle? What is snow? What's the difference? So it's like a dichotomy between darkness and light. So a candle for snow. So here we're going to understand that there is darkness. Darkness equal corruption, equal blindness, equal debauchery, equal all the bad things of the world.
Yes.
And snow is the cold. Snow is the cold. So even we don't have the flowers. We don't have food. We don't have nothing. Just snow. It's cold. No emotions. So if we light this candle, so it's an idea. This candle is going to light up some darkness. And if we light the darkness, we're going to see what's beyond the darkness. We're going to understand. We cannot, as I say, cannot talk about the darkness and we don't have light. So maybe beyond the darkness, there's something we're going to like, right? So we need to light it up. We work with knowledge, as you say, with a mind that's going to lead us into discovering what's beyond the dark. And once we light up this darkness, the snow going to melt. And if the snow going to melt, what's going to happen? The earth going to sniff the leaf, and then the flowers comes up, so the corruption will go away. So that's what I talk in the book about, how we need to change our intellectual mindset.
For a better world.
Exactly. In the book I'm talking about the humanity in general, the human, the relation between himself first and God and the environment, the elements of earth, how we treat an earth. If we treat earth badly, we're going to receive
Earth will treat us badly.
Exactly, that's true.
What we're living.
Even if we treat ourselves badly, we're gonna suicide, right?
Exactly.
So we're gonna go to the bad ways. So how human...
Just like you said, we may pay the price.
Exactly.
Maybe once, maybe twice.
That's true. Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then
Hopefully once.
Hopefully once, not twice. Yeah.
Yeah, we only live once, and even if we do it right,
Exactly.
once is enough.
As a history student, we know that history is not just something we read and go. We need to understand the morals and what happened from the old steps. If my grandparents in the past, in history, they did something wrong, and we saw the result, why would we do it again?
Exactly.
Exactly. Continue if you want.
The first philosopher come up with this principle of we don't study history to know what happened in the past, but to know the social structure, the political structure, and the economic structure of society, and try to change it for a better one.
Exactly.
It was Karl Marx, although he's not my favorite philosopher.
Come on, he's not that bad.
I hate him.
Even Einstein says that.
He came up with this. He wrote about history about Karl Marx. So, as you said, we talk about history and we talk about changing. The main problem of our generation is climate change.
Exactly.
Yes. And it's affecting the economy too.
Exactly.
Africa had.
That's why we have.
Exactly.
That's why we have to raise awareness.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Among young generation, I see awareness about this imminent danger.
Yes.
Like Einstein says that the stupid person is not the one who does the mistake, because we learn. Failure is part of success. Stupid person who falls in the same mistake. So this is our message to the future. We did a mistake. We used gasoline in cars. So don't use it again.
Don't fall in the trap like we did.
Even electricity is dangerous. It's not good.
Yes.
We have wind, we have sun, we have everything. We have elements of earth. But we choose always to the easier part.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm so honored to have you here with us.
I'm so pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Me too. It's an honor to be here with you, especially. And our new friend.
Yes. Dear viewers, thank you for following us. Thank you for watching us. And don't forget to buy the books.
Yeah.
They're pure gems.
No problem. We need to read.
And remember,
Why copies me?
when your heart has no power to speak, remember to let words express what you feel. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for watching us. Next time we will discover other beautiful minds, other young talents. See you soon.